They can probably see us now. Hello, everybody on YouTube. Lovely to be here with you. Yeah, we are live. Excellent. So let me just get, you can probably see us now. Hello. Pausing that. Very excited to be here with the lovely Lucy. Let's get this recording on the go. Whoop, whoop. Here we go. Over to you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our conversation today. Whether you're watching this live or on replay, this is a conversation all about mothering through blame, shame, and guilt. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Lucy Amusan. I'm a pre and postnatal yoga teacher, working in the community with mothers and couples in sort of Southeast London, Beckenham and Bromley areas. I've been doing that for about 13 years. I'm a postnatal doula. I facilitate women's circles, run retreats, and teach general yoga classes as well. And I am joined, or I'm very pleased that when I called Rozy and said, would you be happy to have this conversation with me? She said yes. So I would just like to introduce our other facilitator for this conversation, which is RozyGlow Hanness. So just a bit about her. She is the founder of StarPeace Movement. She is a perinatal expert and multidimensional mentor, guiding women to transmute generational trauma into sovereignty, soul, leadership, which kind of is just a very brief description of what it is that you do. I've known you now for, well, it'll be 16 years, because the first ever yoga class I went into was when I was pregnant with Noah. So that is 16 years ago in the depths of Croydon. And even though we kind of are offering different services, our vision and our passion are very much aligned, which is why I really wanted to speak with you today about this topic. It's something that we've had many conversations about in the past. So yeah, do you want to say hello?
I would love to. I'm so happy to be here with you, Lucy. And as you shared that little intro and the fact that yes, the first time we ever met, you came with your mum. Were you pregnant with Noah, or did you come with him when he was a
No, so
baby?
I came when I was pregnant, so I did prenatal yoga, but the time I came back to postnatal yoga, it was a very key moment in my life, and my mother was there as well, and she will remember that day coming to your house.
I,
I think there was a thunderstorm as well.
it was a very magical day, exactly. And to have known you this long, to have actually seen you go from being a young mum, and we're both young mums, we had our babies young. I was 22 when my daughter was born. Um, to then becoming an advocate for women and birth and to literally take on the baton and lead the way in the way that you do in a very like beautiful, potent and so whereas I'm very raw energy, you're much more contained and not, I don't want to say understated because that's not fair to you, but I love the integrity with which you show up. And it's just so important for us to have this conversation because we've both trained with Birthlight. So we have a motto in Birthlight, which is no guilt, no blame, no shame, right? But it's easier said than done. So that is the topic of our conversation today.
Mhm. And before we kind of get into that, I guess the whys for what we're doing today. What is it that we want to achieve? What are we trying to create? What is driving us? What do we feel? What would you like to share? Kind of your vision of what you would like to see when we're talking about perinatal and postnatal time, especially.
Absolutely. So, one of the things that anyone who knows me, I get most irate about is seeing how we are indoctrinated from as young as we can possibly remember, particularly through TV, through movies, to expect birth to be horrendous, painful, terrifying. And I don't think I've ever seen an image, if I go back in time, where I haven't seen a woman giving birth on her back, pushing for dear life, doing what we all think birth is. And actually, this is very apt for us to talk about today because as we are recording this, there's been a series of interviews or published articles in The Guardian about the free birthing movement. And in particular, this is this polarized view between how important a medicalized approach is versus the fact that we have been giving birth forever. That's how we're here. And actually, we've overcomplicated it. So this is one thing that I think is very important because every woman, and you and I both know this in our experience, because back in the day I used to teach lots of pregnancy yoga, baby yoga, fertility yoga, work with couples. My sample of women and partners and babies is about 5,000 women because I was working very closely with Croydon University Hospital at the time. And it's about how we carry so much emotion around how we feel about ourselves as parents, as mothers, as whether we feel we succeeded or failed at birth, succeeded or failed at mothering. What does it mean to be a mother? What is the archetype of a mother that we're all like somehow worshipping? And it's time for us to look at this and say, is that really what we want to be energizing in the world? Like, what does it mean now? If we want to create, because this is my passion, my book is about how we can create peace in one generation, right? The book is called StarPeace 101, and it's an awakening, humans manual, if you like, to make the shift from surviving to thriving. Now, what many people don't understand is that we're wired to either survive or thrive as a result of our time in the womb. And actually, you could say even from before we're conceived, when we actually look at egg and sperm maturation. And we're living in a world today where people are trying to find a cure for cancer, where people are talking about, one war after another, without us actually having the conversation saying, well, hold on a minute, we know what's causing our dis-eases. We know what is causing our disharmony. And do we really need to justify war as a solution still at this point in time? Well, it will depend on the lens we see the world through. And if we're wired to survive, everything's threatening, everyone's an enemy. We are seeing through the lens of fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, in which case we're only capable of making short-term decisions. We can't think about the long-term impact. Just look at the world, the leaders in this world, they're all birth traumatized, okay? So, there's lots of places we could go in this conversation today. But when we make the shift and we say, how can we wire a generation to thrive? That's going to come from the conversation with the mothers that already are mothers, the mothers that want to be mothers, and the grandmothers, and also the fathers, the grandfathers. And what's so important for us to know is we have got science on our side today. We have the information that if we combine the fields of epigenetics and quantum mechanics plus cell biology, we know everything we need to know to shift this once and for all. So that's why we're having this conversation.
Yeah.
My perspective.
Yeah, and so I'm completely with you on all of that you've just said, and I see it quite clearly around me in my community, how we're all also programmed to have that fear or have that idea about birth, but also to have that preconditioning about mothering, about that a mother is sort of at her wit's end, that she is running on ragged, she's running on fumes, she's completely ragged, she's a bit of a mess, and we kind of take that as a bit of a rite of passage, but with what we know, it doesn't actually have to be that way if we're able to view it from a different perspective and see that it's really an opportunity to regenerate if we are taken good care of and we, put plans in place, and we can actually come out stronger the other side. So I think there's, like we've said in conversations past, it's almost like we need to do a complete kind of 180 and flip things on its head.
Yeah.
to really move into that era or that way of thriving. And yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the mother archetype, let's pay homage a little bit to Dr. Michel Audin, the late Michel Audin. I remember he said, if you want to change the earth, you have to look at birth. I'm not quoting it quite right, but if we want peace on earth, look at birth. So, I think what we're doing today is representing the macrocosm and the microcosm. So I'm kind of looking at the bigger picture of it all, and you're talking about the detail because I'm not working specifically with women day to day anymore who are mothers. But the thing when you were speaking reminded me of and maybe this will be part of what we do later on in the session, but we've both had the pleasure and the gift of being trained by Dr. Francoise Friedman, of having time with her. And what an amazing, that woman mentored me for 10 years. I literally was her shadow. I was one of many, but we literally lapped up everything she has to say. And that woman is a maverick. I say that woman, the woman, this phenomena, right? One of the things I remember was really powerful was this idea that when we are breastfeeding or when we're feeding our babies, right, regardless of breast or bottle and all that constant conversation, which puts more guilt, blame, shame into the arena, um, we have this opportunity to give to ourselves as well as giving to our babies. We have the opportunity to plug into the cosmic booby and receive the nourishment we need. And it's this, how can we work with the energy of the mother in such a way that we can live the example of what it means to thrive in motherhood rather than survive in motherhood. And that's where this conversation around guilt, blame, and shame is so important.
Yeah. Yeah. So with regards to that then, guilt, blame, shame, I mean it's a big topic, and it's something that is like really comes to fruition or to your front of your mind when you're kind of become a mother, new mother. Often these feelings come up and sometimes we don't even know where they've come from. They kind of feel like they've just appeared and they can take over and can cause a lot of issues for new mothers. I'd just like to hear your perspective really on kind of what shame is, how it manifests, like why does this happen? Like what is driving this? What kind of triggers it? That kind of thing.
Okay. Well, I'm happy to share that. And I'm just going to say, I'm going to speak from my personal experience and also from my professional experience. So these are my opinions, although they're very much influenced, particularly by a phenomenal guy called Dr. Bruce Lipton. And actually, Dr. David Chamberlain. I remember being exposed early in my life. I was very blessed that by the time I decided to conceive, even though I was so young, I'd had access to people that had opened my heart and mind to how our time in the womb shapes us, right? And Dr. Bruce Lipton, I had the pleasure of interviewing him. Anyone who's catching this, look at the pinned video at the top of my channel on YouTube, and you'll see my interview with Bruce Lipton, who is I'm just so enamored by this person. But basically, all of the trainings I ever did had some segment of a book of his in the back of the training manuals, right? So I was always exposed to him. And the reason I say this is because in my opinion and from what I've learned professionally, guilt, blame, shame are all conditioning. They are conditioned into us in order for us to comply and to behave in such a way as we have been told and taught by example we should. This is, collective conditioning. We have wider scope conditioning like cultural, religious, societal, socioeconomic. But then you also have more personal conditioning, like your family bloodlines, right? What's normal in your household. And what's important for us all to remember is we're learning now that anything that happens in our lives before the age of 7 is kind of hardwiring our expectations. Now, Bruce has talked, or Dr. Bruce Lipton, so I call him Bruce because we're on first name terms. He talks about the last 3 months in pregnancy when the brain really comes online and how that can be proven in terms of the different brain waves that we emit, right? And that's true. That science can go that far. But my take on all of this is that in the first 3 months of pregnancy, this is when the nervous system foundations, the heart is formed, the basis of the nervous system. This is the time when a woman is hiding she's pregnant, trying to pretend it's not going on, right? Getting on as normal at a time when, if I could, I'd just give everyone like a 3 month first class, go somewhere, be on a beautiful island and just be treated like a queen while the structures of this baby, yeah, the foundations of this baby are being set. And this is important for us to recognize because all of us have been conditioned. So we've been conditioned according to our mother's perception, her mother's perception, her mother's perception. For a long time, we've been saying that, in terms of every little girl is born with all of her eggs, right? Now, there is more recent research that says no, that's not the case because egg reserves can go up, not just down, but the stem cells are there, right? So the interesting thing with this is that if you take it on a biological level, the egg that made me was in my grandmother's body, right? So I've been physically influenced by my grandmother's life. And so my mother was physically influenced by her grandmother. You see how it goes back. Now, what does this mean? It means so much of how we show up in this world is not who we are, it's how we've been conditioned to be. The baseline emotion that you wake up with every day. Is it anxiety? Is it excitement for the day? Is it the pit in your stomach? Is it guilt? Is it, I've got to have something to worry about? You didn't just create that. That was something you learned, and no one actually told you to do it. You grew in it, right? And then it was reinforced or mitigated according to whatever circumstances from your birth onwards. And I think this is so important because we're all into mindfulness, we're all into law of attraction, we're all into change your thoughts, you change your reality. Yes and no. Because actually your conscious mind is only in control for 5 to 10% of any moment, any time frame. So in real time, that's 5 to 10, no, it's not even that, it's 3 to 6 minutes of every hour. You can control your thoughts. The rest of the time, when you're doing something else, your subconscious programming is in charge. And that's why, even though you swear you're not going to mother the way you were mothered, you're not going to parent the way you were parented, those things that you were like, how could they do that to me? When you're in the thick of it and you haven't had enough sleep and everyone's on you, you react exactly how you were reacted to. I could go on, but I'll take a breath.
It's so interesting, isn't it? And I find that the time when, so what I find most interesting is the time after we've had our babies, the neuroplasticity that we have in our own brains at that period in our life. So our brain is rewiring and remaking, and this is why sometimes it's referred to as a golden opportunity, because it is really, and women are like kind of open and receptive, and again we can do that one way or the other. We can reprogram or rewire to be fearful and creating like those bad habits, if you like, or given the right environment and the right support, we can rewire and repattern in a different way. So it is an opportunity for us to take that kind of step in our evolution as a woman, if you like. It's like that stepping into that role of a mother. But we have to have clear guidance around us, and this is lacking for most new mums, to see what you referred to earlier as that mother standing in her power, in her autonomy, aligned, nourished. I think it's Nicola Jane Hobbs says, growing up, I never knew a relaxed woman. It's that kind of thing, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think what you spoke about really kind of highlights how at this time of like immense change and transformation, how this subconscious it just goes like that.
It's running the show. I mean, let's again, one of the things I'm reminded of with Francoise is she used to talk about when we were doing our trainings, and I used to say this a lot in my classes, I'm sure you do too, that when we're pregnant, the hormone relaxin means that our body softens. Now, this can help or hinder, right? Like anything, it's how you apply something. So this means if we have poor postural habits, if we have got a bit of an imbalance in the left and right side of our bodies, through proper alignment, we can end up in a better state physically, emotionally, all of our systems working together at the end of a pregnancy than when we started. But what is also important to remember is that all of the bones have moved, everything has opened. So we do need to close up again and reclaim our bodies afterwards. And as you say, there are key things missing in the Western model, in the whether we call it Western, the developed, the medical, whatever we want to call it, the beyond indigenous, right? That we, the gold standard is what being obstetric led in the US. This is a big thing, right? And in many countries that are moving towards what they would call developed world, concepts. This highly medicalized issue is a problem because it's creating more problems than it's solving. We're only dealing with part of it and not the whole. And this is important because talking about morbidity post birth, how we feel about ourselves, how we feel about the birth, especially if we wanted things to go a certain way and they didn't, is really important because it's shaping part of what you just said, the neuroplasticity point. If we had the kind of modeling around us that say, let's just imagine a world, like let's create this picture where we we know at this point that there's all sorts of things we can do ahead of time to minimize trauma, to minimize problems, right? So back to what I said before about early pregnancy. How often did I see women pushing themselves hard in early pregnancy have problems in their third trimester with their placenta? It was too many times for it to be something I could ignore, right? Did I do any scientific double blind studies on it? No, but someone can, right? The point is again that in that time, when we're looking at the early experiences and how they actually shape us, there is so much we can do that will allow us to get over the fear, to understand the physiology, to understand how to set ourselves up for the best birth outcomes. But much of that is how we deal with life in pregnancy, right? Keeping the oxygen levels high to the baby, relaxing ourselves, everything you've just said. Now, let's just say that we don't have the opportunity to work with a woman to support her pre-pregnancy or pre-first trimester or any point on the way, but we meet her at the birth. And even if we did say things went the way you didn't want them to go, at the birth we have an opportunity to wipe the slate. And wouldn't it be amazing? Like for me, the vision of the future is that women are supported to birth where they feel most safe, right? Because that is going to be what helps a woman to relax. And I can't tell you that that's the same thing for every woman because it isn't. It's down to her conditioning. But imagine if every woman was given the support after the birth to reflect on the experience, to close her body, to leave the birthing space with an understanding of how to start to draw her body back in, how to understand the pre-cries of her baby so that she can understand whether that baby's hungry, overstimulated, in pain, has wind, right? Because it's all there. We've got the information. And imagine if every woman and her partner were trained to understand the cues, the baby cues, so that again, they're not misunderstanding the way that the baby is communicating with them. What if we were shown how to appreciate that a baby's always telling their birth story to us, through their movements, and also how to repattern, say a baby was born by ventouse or forceps or cesarean, or there was a shoulder dystocia or anything that's gone on, how we can help the baby's nervous system and the mother to heal together, right? Kangaroo care, there's all these different. This empowers a woman and her baby at the point when she could go right down in the dumps to know that actually it doesn't matter what happened. What matters is what we do now. And that's what I want to see. I want to see a world where we no longer have women birthing on their backs in hospital beds, pushing like they're doing a poo, like you ever poo like that, for goodness sake. Um, That's no longer on TV. You don't see it, right? And we have changed the culture of birth so that every new parent is equipped to understand themselves and their baby so that they can rewire the circuitry to thrive, even if they were wired to survive to this point. That to me is how a woman can reclaim the womb space she gave to her baby, right, to grow in, as her own, can fill herself up with self esteem, self worth, with a sense of self identity that says, none of that mattered. What matters is now. That's where it is for me.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I was getting goosebumps. That was really lovely. And when we are able to do that, if that future or if that woman has that experience, what I love is to see the discernment piece come in for new mothers when they look around and they see everybody doing a certain thing, and they have that because they've experienced the, you know, birth or postnatal in that way, they have that inner authority or that trust to just say, no, that's not for me. Like, even if everyone, like NCT group, even if a whole NCT group is saying, we're all doing this, and she knows that that is not right for her and her baby, and she then has that self-authority to be able to go, well, actually, no, I'm not doing that. And not even have to explain her reasons why, but just, no, that's not for me.
Well, this comes right back to the subject. Guilt, blame, shame is a
Yeah.
conditioned response. So when you reclaim your inner authority, when you stop giving your power away to others, and actually you're willing to make informed decisions based on critical thinking, not someone's emotional manipulation towards you. And I say this because my own GP told me that if I really loved my baby, I would do X, Y, and Z, right? Now, when I'm a new mum or I'm pregnant, I'm incredibly vulnerable. I'm looking around. And if I don't have someone to actually encourage me to look a little deeper than what the person in the professional status is telling me, then I'm just going to do, of course, I'm going to do what they tell me because they're the expert. But they're not. They're not the expert of my body or my baby. And when we're living in a world that's litigation fear based and everyone's covering their asses because they don't want to be sued, and many people, and I speak saying this from experience having spoken to them, are having to toe the party line and say what they're told to say rather than what they truly believe, because otherwise their job's on the line and they've got their families to feed, right? We've got to understand all of this and how we can each be part of changing that culture. Because I mean, part of the things I don't miss doing running pregnancy classes is saying to people, you know what? I know that this is the standard narrative and this is what you'll be told to do. But I'm inviting you to look a little deeper, to have those difficult conversations, to do your own research, to challenge what your partner says and you think, and actually to understand there's a reason that there is a conflict of interest here, or there's a different conversation that some people are having. You know, why is it that one person feels so strongly this and another this? Let's dive deeper. And if we move beyond guilt, blame, and shame, and we get curious and we understand what's at the root, we understand that fear tries to control outcomes, right? So, you know, we all have to face the fact, and I'm just going to say it blatantly, that we're all going to die, right? We all want to avoid this at all costs, but it's inevitable, just like paying tax presently, right? However, if we want to minimize the risks to ourselves and to others. And we have to understand what increases the risk and where we've got to certain understandings, often based on misinformation, skewed data, research that has a specific intention or outcome in mind, right? We have to remember that. And that will help us to reestablish integrity, which is part of this. But the other thing I was kind of thinking as you were talking was all of my yoga classes, as you remember, started 5 to 10 minutes late, right? I built a whole yoga business on classes starting late, which one of the things that was so important to me was not having women with their babies rushing with their baby seat and the this and the that to try and get into the church hall on time to get their full hour and a half or whatever it was. Another thing to beat yourself up about. I'm late. I'm always late. you've got a baby. You can't control when your baby needs to feed, when they need to have a poo, when they need a cuddle. Can you come and know that you're going to be welcome, right? So we all get to somehow change the culture by the way we show up. And we're kind of being invited to know the rules to break them, right? And again, I say this because I want to empower everyone to know you do have a choice. Even when you think you don't have a choice, you have a choice. And that choice is how you're going to perceive something. And that's going to make the difference between whether you feel like you're winning or losing, succeeding or failing, and actually to challenge this idea that the mother, the ideal mother, is the bleed from me, take everything, go on, take it all. I've got all the patience in the world. No, I freaking don't. I need sleep too, right? Where would you want to go with this? Tell me.
Well, I mean, I think we could probably talk for hours and hours about this, and I would obviously love to follow up with another conversation. What would be really nice was maybe just a grounding in and just time to pause and reflect, and an opportunity to kind of, because it's one thing, and I know you agree, it's one thing knowing something consciously and thinking it in your head, but to actually feel it in your body, that's kind of my driver. Is like, okay, I can say these things, I can, think these things, but how does it actually feel? Because to have the two match up, I think is a really key thing, because so often we are being driven by kind of presenting ourselves in a way that we feel we should be doing, rather than actually, well, actually, how does that feel for me? Like, what is the truth there for me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's just quickly use a birth analogy for that actually, because I think if we look at what helps, whatever helps birth to go well is also what helps life to go well, and how we can overcome the challenges, and then we can embody this, right? So, in my experience, what helps a birth to go well is for the baby's positioning in the pelvis to be optimal for the mother's pelvis, and for the mother to have kind of created the conditions in her body to help her baby fully enter into the pelvis when it's time, with the chin flex. They always say flex, and I always think it's chin up, but that means chin down, right? And then the part of the skull, the crown, that will help to move through the cervix in the easiest way, right? Now, in order for that to happen, there's a prerequisite, which is that the mother trusts herself and feels safe to give birth. Because if you don't, you have what I had, which is your psoas is so tight, the psoas muscle, connects the bottom and top part of the body, and the baby never engages in the pelvis. And, when you have a midwife say, oh, don't worry, it will happen in the labor. I'm like, no, do worry. Let's get this baby down if we can. Let's look at what's happening. So what can we do to help ourselves? We have to look at our alignment with what we say we want. And this is walking and talking. This level of awareness is so important, because when it comes to guilt, blame, and shame, typically these are internal. We blame others. If something goes wrong, we want someone to blame, right? That's the world we live in today. But shame and guilt are really internalized. No one really knows. You could have the biggest smile on your face and no one knows what's going on, right? So, you know, for me, I wrote a book called StarPeace 101, and it is how to create peace in one generation. A big part of that is the three-pronged formula for peace. And I'll just say it really quickly because I think everyone can apply this, right? What you focus on grows. So the first thing is shifting our focus from the problem to the solution, right? So where is my focus at any one moment? When you're a mum, you have a lot of time to check in with yourself, whether you're feeding a baby, whether you're burping a baby, whether you're at the swings pushing a baby, right? There's all these moments where you're doing something that I found really dull. I'm not going to lie. I found my brain likes to be really stimulated. So I found some parts of mothering quite challenging because of the repetitiveness. But actually, when you use this as an opportunity to come back to yourself and consider what's going on in you, how can you bring yourself out of a state of the million things you have to do? Come back to your breath, calm everything down. This is the shifting from problem to solution. In any moment, we can do it, right? So this is a key thing from Star Wars to Star Peace. We shift our focus, we shift our experience. The second thing that's very important for us to recognize is dealing with symptoms and causes is essential. We're living in a world that likes to deal with symptoms, but not causes. So for us to truly create a shift that means in the generation between you and your children, me and my children, our children will not be passing the guilt, blame, and shame on to their next generation, right? That's going to come from this self inquiry, self referral. So, dealing with the symptoms in our lives, how do I show up? Am I a people pleaser? Am I giving my power away to others all of the time because of the fact that I think they know more than I do, or I'm too scared to trust myself because I don't have an inner authority compass that I feel I can trust? I've never been taught how to trust myself, right? Do I need to play the nice girl? This is so important because, or do I need to have a fight with someone all the time, right? So shifting from problem to solution, shifting, looking at the fact that there are epigenetic reasons, trauma passed on, or beliefs or limiting concepts that pass on. So do blessings and gifts, by the way. We didn't just inherit problems from our ancestors. So let's take the best, leave the rest. Recognize there is something that is passing on, and we're not just a clean slate, which is what many of our mothers were told in their generation, that babies are born a clean slate. No, they're not. They're not. And thirdly, when you're dealing with, for me, the symptom element is actually to do with entertainment. And if we just talk about shame for a minute, I know lots of mums, especially if we have children already that are, 8, 9 years old, will know about the K-pop Demon Hunters, the movie. And I don't watch a lot of animated movies because I don't like them, but oh my goodness, my daughter who's 24 was like, Mum, you have to see this. You love it. You'll love it. And I was like, Demon Hunters, why would I do that? Oh, shame is brought up in it. So I'm not going to say too much, but I'm going to say, everyone, I encourage you to watch it. And the thing is, we can everything, if we look at the fact that we're all programmed in this world to believe things a certain way, everything we watch, everything we listen to, everything we read is leaving an impression on us. So actually, we do get to choose what we tune into. And it's important to remember that. You are the person turning the radio on or the TV on or reading the book or the magazine, right? So be discerning. You use the word. What are you feeding yourself? Why? If you're learning about something, are you just going down one route, or are you opening yourself to other perspectives? Anyone who's gone to uni has been hopefully trained to critically examine data, right? So for some reason, we've given a lot of our power away, and it's really important to claim it back. So to really be able to see this shift in one generation, we've got to look at what's in our conscious control and take responsibility for it. That means the words you speak, what you tune into. Pay attention, that's in your control. Then the things that aren't in your control, like your subconscious programming, are going to require some form of support to overcome. And therapy is wonderful, but therapy is not subconscious reprogramming. Therapy brings from the subconscious to the conscious something that has been hidden. But what it can do is it can amplify the issue because suddenly you're aware of it and now you're seeing it everywhere. So clearing practices are key. Now, you teach yoga, I teach yoga. Yoga's wonderful, especially the way we teach it because it's coming from a feminine perspective. But what is important to remember, it's a very slow road in terms of repatterning, right? It takes a lot of committed practice. There are faster ways. You have been through the Fearless, Loved Up and Limitless program with me. That has evolved a lot over time. I appreciate that currently anyone who's listening to this or watching this, different socioeconomic bandwidth, there's different things available. The important thing is whatever you can access, access it. Challenge the limitations in your world, right? Look to break the patterns of the past. Anyone who catches this, Lucy teaches locally, and do say where you teach, Lucy, and we'll come back to this in a second. I run my yoga online these days. I only teach online except for in-person days and retreats. But the thing is, if there's interest in having an online yoga class for pregnancy, for fertility, for baby, just put it in the comments, right? Put what you want and make sure you join our mailing lists. Join RozyGlow.com. You can then email us, right? With Lucy, what's your email? What's your website that people can join you with?
It's just lucyamusan.com. Nice and simple.
Beautiful. We'll put these in the chat box anyway, but
Mm.
you tell us what you want, we can start to create it because, supply is dictated by demand, right? So if you want something that's not available, speak up. We will create it. Someone's going to create it, right? I mainly work with birthing the soul, so I'm a doula as well. I used to attend a lot of births, and I learned that I didn't have to have a healing birth myself to be able to help women to overcome their fear of birth because my labor was 4 days long, right? So I learned how not to give birth and what can really get in the way. But having attended many births myself and seen women go from having had traumatic first births, for example, to empowered second births, often pools at home, etc., third babies, fourth babies, and even supporting women in their first time round to have better birth outcomes. The whole thing is that we can be the change and embody it and support others. So I'm going to always advocate for people to clear their subconscious programming and to align with their true highest self-consciousness, not their ego programming, not the conditioning. And it doesn't matter whether your child, although they say it is said, under the age of 7 you can still work with the circuitry and rewire it. After that, it's hardwired. I'm seeing things differently. My experience says that when I work with people, even if they have adult children or teenage children, when they take the ownership and they work with clearing their own stuff around it, that changes the child's future as well and perception because the parent, it has a knock-on effect, right? It just works in the quantum field. So it's never too late. The important thing is to do it and don't be passive about it, right? Because at the moment I'm rolling out, I'm looking at different ways I can offer things, right? But the important thing is to know there are opportunities. I do one-to-one work to support people to rewire their birth trauma, whether it's their children or their own story, which I always recommend we do before we conceive. But then we have Fearless, Loved Up and Limitless, which is the whole subconscious motherboard rewiring. And then we have Liberation from Limitation, which is a narrative rewrite course, and we'll be launching that again in January. So if anyone is like inspired by this and wants to know more, the easiest thing to do is just join RozyGlow.com. You get some lovely freebies anyway as a result, and you can email me and then we can start the conversation about what might be right for you next. And if you are local to, where are you, Lucy?
So I'm Southeast London, Beckenham and Bromley. And just to kind of add on to what you mentioned there, it's something that I say in all my classes. So I have teenage boys now, and I spend a fair amount of time and practice on clearing my subconscious. I have done over the years in lots of different ways and formats. And I can honestly say, hand on my heart, that every time I have taken an opportunity to do that, everyone in my family has benefited. It's not something that I just feel for myself. It impacts everybody around you. It's profound. It's amazing. Yeah, to support women and people to do that. So I know you work with men as well. Is it has that ripple effect and it does spread out. So don't feel, and this is the whole guilt thing, don't feel guilty for taking the time for yourself, because people around you will benefit from you when you look after yourself. It's as simple as that.
Lucy, thank you for saying that because actually you mentioned men. Most of my one-to-one clients are men. Why? They'll spend the money. They know they're worth it. If they spend it on a car, they'll spend it on coaching, right? They will do it. Women, oh no, kids' holidays. Oh no, we're making memories. We're going to, how many times? I've watched even my best friend do it, right? And I'm glad, great, make those memories. But like, if you are not in yourself, feeling as though you're thriving, that's the first thing to shift because everything else will happen on top of that. You will have not one holiday memory, 10 of them, because you will have plugged into The fact that you are a thrive paradigm and therefore you overcome your lack consciousness wherever it shows up, lack of time, love, money, attention, praise, worth, whatever it is, right? And as you said, there are lots of methods, and I know lots of people are currently getting into breath work, and they're also getting into things like tapping, EFT, that kind of thing, which is great. They're great. I'm always about the fastest route. You know, I do my best to clear as much as I can in the safest way possible with the most grace and ease in the, you know, the time when you're held. And then the top up is essential because if you rewire, say you have a computer, right, and you change platforms from surviving to thriving, you then need to put the updates in. If you don't do the updates, it's not going to work long term, right? It's going to get clunky. So we're always growing. And just like we're going to do a little meditation moment just to finish things off, it's the consistency. Like it's not about, oh, I've got to get up and spend an hour on my morning practice before I do anything else. No, sweetheart, it's in the moment. You're on the loo, you center yourself. You're brushing your teeth, you're doing mirror work and telling yourself how amazing you are in the mirror without even saying a word. You're playing with your alignment. You're working with your pelvic floor. You're multitasking because you are a multidimensional being. You can do all of this. You feel overwhelmed? You don't have capacity? Then expand your capacity, ground your roots, learn how to work with the power you have. Then you won't feel like you're not powerful. We blow gaskets because we don't know how to use our power. And honestly, I say this as a woman who has owned more and more and more of my power. And all the time you've known me, Lucy, I haven't stood still, have I? I left a lot of people behind, which has been really sad for me at times. But I haven't stayed back to make everyone feel comfortable because that's not my job. My job is to do what I'm here to do. I'm a trailblazer. I'm a pioneer. I'm an oracle, as are you. And we're a living example of this. Now, this doesn't mean everyone comes with us all the way. What matters is when you're inspired, go with the wind, right? Flow with it. And when it's time and you feel like you need to stabilize, okay, it's all there for us. But don't BS yourself. Don't belief system yourself, and don't the other thing either. Because I do see this on the journey with people. They get to a certain point, they've done some work, and they're like, oh, I'm comfortable now. I don't want to get uncomfortable again. Tough shit. Discomfort is on the way. So embrace it, get comfortable with it, dance with it. We call it playing with your resistance, the resist dance, right? And then you'll learn to welcome those moments where there's a hill that you're going to climb up, and then you're going to enjoy the vista, and then you're going to go down or up to the next one, whatever. It's just the way it goes. This is life. Enjoy every bit of it. That's my suggestion.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants the book, it's called StarPeace 101, How to Create Peace in One Generation. It's got 9 star maps in it. And I just want to say very quickly, the 12 stages of creation is very relevant to what we've been talking about today. The self-love star map is very relevant. The birth star map is really relevant. Okay, this applies to absolutely anything we're doing in our lives. And in fact, what we could do, let's use the birth one as a starting point for our co-creation. We'll do that and the fuel shifts because that will help us to anchor this. Anyone who loves the idea of all of this and is buzzing, there's a set of Oracle cards coming out imminently. We're literally selling them at the moment. So these are being made into like a deck of cards. So you can check in every day with where am I in terms of where I want to be? What is it that I could most align with today to help me feel like I'm winning, right? Rather than losing. As a mother, you're constantly judging yourself. We all do it, right? According to the standards of whoever created them. Mother and Baby magazine, NHS, wherever you are in the world, UNICEF, whatever the gold standard is, the World Health Organization, your mother, your grandmother, women in general, men, you name it, our culture. So what if you learn to be a judgment-free zone? What if you learn to spot judgment, come back to neutrality? And this is all in the book, but the cards really help you to build the bridge from where you are to where you want to be, right? So let's play with this before we go into it. Tell me when to stop, Lucy.
Stop.
Okay, and give me a number between 1 to 6.
5.
Not enough to plenty. So
Mm.
this is the 6 essential fuel shifts. We are living out the scarcity memories of our ancestors through the expression of our DNA. Are we ready to co-create a plentiful reality for all? Good. Remember, the glass is neither half full nor half empty. It is refillable. One of my clients on a training said that to me years ago when I was training in birthlight. So training teachers, pregnancy teachers in Greece. Last one, 1 to 6.
3.
Okay, so established first stage. This is the birth star map. I need help. Things are kicking off, and I don't know if I can do this on my own. Intensity, focused attention, need to disengage from all external influences. Go within and request support. That's
Mm.
what we're going to do now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts from you before we do this little 5-minute thing? And what we'll do is, well, you tell me. Final thoughts.
Final thoughts would just be to, yeah, trust yourself, I guess.
Yeah, trust yourself. When you join the RozyGlow mailing list, you get a PDF which is called the Rainbow Gems. And these are little sayings that I've said so many times in my coaching programs that they've just become little Rosyisms, right? Or rainbow gems. One of them is trust is code word for magic. When you trust yourself, you choose to trust, even though you don't know how or what, something happens that supports you, right?
Mm.
So for me, I just want to say that we will do our best to edit this little meditation out so it'll be available separately. But if you're listening to this, one thing you can do is just use the voice memo app on your phone and record this off the recording, and then you can listen to it whenever you feel you need to. So this is a great little meditation to get you to sleep at night. If you wake up in the middle of the night, if you're feeding your baby or you've got a toddler or whatever, anything's going on, can put you back in. And the same with throughout the day. This is your opportunity to plug into source. All right. Okay. Ready for it?
Yep.
I'll stick to 5 minutes, see what we can do. Have a little rub of your hands and have a little shake. Okay. Now, if we've got a baby in our arms, we're going to hold that baby, right? But we just take a moment to roll the shoulders up and back. And just very gently recognize we hold a lot of tension in the neck and the jaw, so you can let yourself yawn or blow a raspberry or two. And if you're holding your baby, you make sure that you're comfortable, that you've got some support under your baby, so your baby's raised up to you rather than you slouching forward. And if you're not holding a baby, you can bring one hand to the center of your heart and one to your lower belly, to the center of the womb space. And take a moment to uncross your arms, uncross your legs. Welcome your breath. Remember, your breath is the connection between your soul and your human self. So as you breathe, you allow your focus to come to your breath, giving permission for all thoughts to relax, let go, for your brain to become the scribe of this experience, to witness you. And we invite the brain to follow the heart. So what does that mean? Just let yourself now tune into having some appreciation for yourself and actually how you have the best intentions, how you really want to do the best by those you love. And part of that is actually learning to really give to yourself. And that's why you're here right now. So with your nose, you can draw a circle in the air in front of you. This is drawing the circumference of what I call a sphere of compassion. This is a safe space for you. Then you can draw your nose up and down, and it's like you turn the tap on as you do this. The tap of the infinite supply of source, all that is. Manna from heaven or source or whatever you believe in. It's like plugging into the huge cosmic battery you can charge up from. And then drop your chin to your heart and imagine there's a beautiful smile in your heart that's beaming across the center of your chest. And as you notice that smile and smile back, you get lit up from the inside. You feel your shoulders relax, your jaw relax, your pelvic floor relax. And now instead of trying to breathe, you're feeling like you're being breathed. Your breath is breathing you. Now step into the sphere that we created with the nose. Make it as big as you want it to be so you feel safe and secure. You can imagine that you're in the cosmic womb of creation. And as you are a nurturer, a mother or a mother-to-be, or a father-to-be, you're now giving yourself the gift of what you give others, receiving nurturing. Now just call in our I am presence. This is literally a few words to invoke your highest self. So you can say them out loud after me. I am all that is. I am the one self I am. I am that I am. I am the source of my creations. I am the creator of my reality. I am the creation. I am sovereign. I am free. I am the force of source. I am that I am. Now remember that any words we say after the words I am must be obeyed. So you've just made some commands in your energy field. And the force of source is simply the energy of love, the energy of thriving, the energy of unconditional acceptance and approval, grace in action. So consider what colour you're drawn to today. What colour is calling you to bathe in, to receive? And imagine now that you're opening up the crown of your head like a beautiful, infinitely petaled lotus flower. And as you do so, you're giving the signal to the center of all creation, the center of the cosmos, the omniverse, to send to you the energy, the love, the approval, the acceptance, the praise, the support, the resource that you require and desire, want and need. And this is coming down now as a beautiful shower of love and light from source. So whatever colour's drawn to you, might be gold, might be pink, might be blue. Just trust that the energy coming through is right for you. And let yourself fill up. So before you give to anyone or anything, you can imagine your brain's like a sponge soaking up all of this light and love until it's so saturated that this light and love pours down from your brain through your throat into your chest, into your breasts, regardless of whether you breastfeed or have breastfed. This is about you nurturing yourself, nourishing yourself. And now your heart and your breasts fill up with this beautiful light and love. And again, the cells are saturated to the point that the light and love flows down your arms, down into your solar plexus, down into your womb space, your lower belly. And remember, we all have a sacral chakra, regardless of whether we have a physical womb. So fill up your lower torso, your womb if you have one, your stomach if you like as well, with this light and this love. See yourself glowing from the inside as you feel this energy, this light and love moving down your body, through your pelvic floor, through your legs, through your feet, down into the earth. And imagine your growing roots that extend down to the center of the earth and wrap around the surface of the planet, under the surface of the planet. So we have the mycelium network. Many of us know about this. What about the crystalline grid? Imagine that you can connect to all the other mothers in this world through this underground network of love, appreciation, and support. Fathers too. Awakening humans in general. So you keep receiving and giving from your overflow into the earth, into the grid around the earth, until you're receiving again from the earth. You can imagine the light that you've drawn through your body has wrapped around the planet into the core, and now you're breathing it back up through your body, up through your sushumna, so up through your pelvic floor and belly and womb space and solar plexus, and just affirm, I am amazing, I am fantastic, I am fabulous, I am badass. I am loving and approving of myself no matter what. I am safe and secure with all of my emotions, all of the time. And from here, let this energy rise up to your heart, and then it's either moving from your breasts as breast milk to your baby, or down your arms and being fed through your beautiful, whatever you're feeding your baby, so whether it's food, whether it's a bottle of milk, water, tea, whatever it is, your baby, your child are receiving these lovely love codes. And if there's no baby or child there, this is about you, give it to your inner child, your inner baby. Give yourself everything you didn't have, everything you felt you did without. And then radiate this energy out so that your physical body is glowing. And some of you might be new to this, but you have a light body as well. And it will either look like a six-pointed star or like an octahedron diamond shape within the sphere that you stepped into. So the more energy you are charging up with, this will turn on your light body lights too, just like turning on the Christmas tree lights. And you just keep feeding yourself until your sphere is glowing too, that safe space we created at the start. And I invite you to bring down the frequency of the platinum flame, which is the divine feminine flame. And just imagine a skin around your sphere. So it's like a mirrored ball that draws to you that which affirms your self-worth, your intrinsic deserving birthright want worthiness, and repels the old stories that don't serve you, that limit you. And at this point, you're charged up, so you can gently close down the crown of your head again, like a beautiful flower, petals coming inwards. And you can just affirm, I am that I am, I am that I am, I am that I am. Give thanks for anything you want that isn't in your life right now. Give thanks for the patience, the sleep, the support, the guidance, the clarity. Give thanks for it. It's already coming. And then when you're ready, you can very gently open your eyes, come back to this now moment. If you're listening to this at night, you fall asleep, receive divine guidance in your sleep state. Welcome back. How did that feel?
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
To me, it feels very much when we do something like that, that we give to others as we give to ourselves. And that just fed the whole world. So thanks.
Yes, that opportunity to just come home.
Mm. We are home, exactly that. So, just to honour everyone's time, thank you so much for setting this up, Lucy. And absolutely, we would love to have another conversation. So, anyone who's caught this, please tell us what were your wow moments? What are you like? Oh, I want to know more about that. If you're interested in, yoga online, the yoga for everybody is available for everybody already. That's multidimensional yoga. You can access it through my website. But if you're local to Lucy and you want to, just tell me you're doing general classes and pregnancy and baby and postnatal classes. Is that right?
Yeah, and women's circles as well.
Cool. Beautiful. So anyone who's local to Lucy, go and make the most of it. I do everything online these days with a few in-person things. So you can find out all about what I do through RozyGlow, through StarPeaceConsciousness.com and through my socials. Thank you for subscribing and hitting the all notifications tab if you haven't yet done that. And yeah, this is the start of a series. I want to call this, what did we say? We were going to call it Conceiving, Birthing and Nurturing the Next Generation to Thrive, Raising Star Seeds Consciously. That's what I feel this series will be. But we're just going to keep having conversations, aren't we, Lucy, about what needs to be said or what we feel needs to be said.
Yeah, it's offering an alternative.
Yeah. What could be better than what we've done now? Like, let's not blame anyone. Everyone is the result of the conditioning. What do we want instead of this? What can we evolve? When we start having those conversations, we are weaving a new reality. So please remember, everyone who's watching this, listening to this, you are so much more powerful than you realize. Get using that power. And thank you again. Thank you, Lucy.
Thank you.
All right. We'll say goodbye for now and look forward to the comments. Take care, everyone.